Hello everyone, welcome to our online tutorial lesson. Today we are going to learn with you about vascular plants which have seeds. Last week we learned that vascular plants are divided in two parts, which have seeds and which have no seeds. For example, fern is an example of vascular plants that don't have seeds. But today we will learn about vascular plants which have seeds. And these plants are also divided in two parts, seeds enclosed and seeds naked. For example, an apple is an example of seeds enclosed. Can you see its seed? No. Until you don't eat, you don't see it. So it's inside the fruit. And this is called angiosperm. But gymnosperms, you can see its seed. For example, conifer is an example of gymnosperm, and conifer is in Russian yolka, and you can see yolka's seed, which is cone, or in Russian we say shishka. We will learn it next week in detail, so let's today concentrate on angiosperms. Angiosperms are called phylum Trichoephyta. And the first characteristic of angiosperms, they are flowering plants. As you see on the screen, many beautiful flowers. All of them are angiosperms, like fruits, poppies, cactus, lilies, orchids, oddballs. Very beautiful flowers. And they can be also grass, like rice, potato, basil. All of them are an example of angiosperms. Some characteristic of angiosperms. First, as we said, it is enclosed seeds and protected inside the fruit of the flower, and have flowers, of course, have vascular tissue, alternation of generations, meristem tissue, parenchyma, stoma, guard cells, and epidermis. What is dermal tissue? Epidermis contains guard cells. Guard cells are protects. Like our body have also what? Protected by our skin. So they have also epidermis, which contains guard cells, and it's around the stomata, the hole in the leaf, that allows to control water retention or loss and amount of carbon dioxide. Do you remember we learned that all the exchange of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide take place on the leaves because leaves have these stomata. It opens and closes. And it releases also waxy cuticle. And waxy cuticle prevents water from getting in or out. An example of waxy cuticle can be a candle. When electricity is off, what do we use? We use candles. So this candle is waxy cuticle. So this epidermis releases waxy cuticle to prevent water to come inside the plant. General cells are parenchyma, which is the site of metabolism and photosynthesis. Collenchyma, durable cells in celery to provide support. Or sclerenchyma, really durable tissue. For example, hand probe or core of an apple or grit on inside of a pear. Vascular tissue. We said in our earlier lessons that vascular tissue are xylem and phloem. Xylem moves water from the soil to the root, from the root to the stem, and from the stem to other parts. Phloem, what does phloem do? Yes, phloem moves sugars which are made on the leaves up and down the plant. So don't forget this very important properties of vascular system, vascular plants. Non-vascular, they don't have this system. Growth of a plant. If you place a spike in a 16-feet tree, 3 feet up in a tree, and came back 40 years later to a very tall tree, like 60 feet tall. Where would that spike be? Of course, the same spot, yeah? Because plants don't move, they stay in one place, but they grow. How they grow? They grow from roots and shoots. Middle will stay the same, bark will grow up. Primary growth, apical meristem, are, we can say, ram and stem. What is ram? Ram is root apical meristem, and stem is shoot apical meristem. If I ask you what is the difference between root and shoot, do you know the answer? Okay, root is under the ground and you cannot see root. Is it so? Yes, correct. But shoot is on the ground and you can see it. For example, what do you see? You can see stem, correct, branch and leaves. So these are called shoot. What you see above the ground or on the ground. Secondary growth allows plants to get wider or larger by the help of xylem, which transport water, and phloem, which transport sugar. And these are all produced by vascular cambium. And it has also core cambium, which is waterproof. Waterproof means water cannot go inside. It is protected. Rings are xylem, like seasons. Alternation of generations. As you see in this picture, the flowers can be stamen. It has stamen. It has stigma. Stamen is part of male part of a flower. Stigma is female part of a flower. In this picture, stamen has anther and filament. Inside the anther, there are pollens. Stigma, which is female part of the flower, consists of style, ovary, and ovule. When the pollen from anther, from male part of a flower, comes to ovule, it will be fertilized and it will be zygote. And zygote will develop into fruit. Very good. So, they have also sepal and petal. Sepal is green part, petal is pink part. And pollen, we can say also microspore. It is, as we said, produced by anthers, and it's a male part of the flower. Pollen is transferred from a flower to flower by wind, a bee, or another insect or other animals. And these are called pollinators or pollinating agents which help to pollinate the flower. And the stigma of the flower, stigma was female part of the flower. And this stigma is very sticky. So when the insect crawls past it, the pollen sticks to the stigma. And then pollen tube forms and grows from stigma to ovule. What is double fertilization? It occurs where one sperm fertilizes the egg to form the seed. Another sperm fertilizes the endosperm to form the fruit. Where this sperm comes? From pollen, yes, from anther. Anther produce these pollens. And this is called double fertilization. And also self-fertilization can also occur. As you see in this picture, they are how first from stigma pollen comes from the opening of stigma, comes to style, and then finally comes to ovule. When it comes to ovules, it produces, as you see in the last picture, one of the sperm fertilize the egg to form the diploid zygote. So diploid is 1N or 2N? Correct, it is 2N. And the other sperm fertilizes two polar nuclei to form the triploid endosperm, which will become a food source for growing embryo. So endosperm is food for the developing zygote. because if there is no food, zygote will die. When the zygote will die, there will be no fruit, because finally the zygote grows into fruit, which is very delicious, like an apple. And this is alternation, as you see, starts from sporophyte, which is 2n, and diploid. It is diploid, and from anther, with the help of meiosis and mitosis, male gametophyte and female gametophyte will join, will fertilize. Again, sperm is fertilizer to zygote, zygote to seed, and seed to flower, and flower to fruit. Here you can see another angiosperm life cycle. So see you next week, and learn please the part of the angiosperm, and be ready for the test.